Hey guys, welcome back. It's Grimreaper coming at you for another video for Raidshadowlegends. Hopefully doing well and hopefully looking after yourselves and hopefully having a positive start to the weekend or wherever you are in the world, and hopefully you had a great day. We're back on my account today. We're going to do a champion showcase. This has been requested by a couple of people from my community after his buff. I really recently wanted to take this champion out and I do have access to his champion for today. Now, this champion recently got buffed recently in the last patch, so we want to go ahead, take him into arena and etc. and talk about this champion today. Obviously, a lot of questions have been asked. So we are talking about Norg. Now, if I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong, it's not intentional on purpose. Just because I'm dyslexic and I just say stuff by how my memory works and looks like. That looks like Nog to me, so that's what we're gonna call him a Nog or something like that. Anyway, Mr. Pig. Mr. Pig is ready to go. After this buff, he has had a couple of decent buffs decent buff now, and we can see there looking at his base stats for 106 defense based nuker, not too bad for a legendary, etc. So I think they just changed a couple of things and in his kit and increased damage multipliers, defense base, so his survivability is good. So let's go through his kit then and see where he would be good and what that person, if you should 6-star him or not, basically. So we'll start with the passive. Thick Skin, level 1. He is immune to basically all CCs in the game other than blocked out of skills. So he's even immune to sheep, which is fantastic. That was added on from the patch. Decreases the damage taken by all allies that are under 1 or more buffs by 50%. Damage reduction is always pretty nice. And then decreases the damage taken by all allies if they're under no active buffs by 25. So really juicy damage mitigation. I think this was changed slightly. I can't remember what was on it before, but there was some damage mitigation in this already. And he used to get used a lot back in the day when he first was released because of this passive and it was defense based, etc. People was excited about him. So his A2 was recently also changed as well. His A2 used to just have block buffs. Now it says attacks all enemies. It's on a 3-turn cooldown and it replaces block buffs and it decreased defense for 2 turns. This is based on damage on defense as well. So you can see here for books, he's really cheap on the box for the A3. It also has a defense base aura in dungeons by 40 as well, which is one of the biggest in the game. Then your attack one enemy has a 55% chance of decreasing the duration on one target by 1 turn. It also has a 80%, 100% chance booked to place in a block debuff skill for 1 turn. That's kind of cool. Not a crazy one if we're being honest. So I will be straight up honest. Do I think that this is enough overall? No. There was reasons why I don't think this is enough, but basically his kit is aimed at Hydra, with the defense down and block buffs. Now he can be used as a DPS champion because he can do some fairly good damage, but he's not the hardest hitting defense based nukers out there. Not after like Marius, Harima, etc. So it really depends on your account. If you're like late game in your free to play low spender, there is definitely some good synergies here you can build in and be usable in one of your free Hydra teams because you do need free Hydra teams. But that is probably like the main place where I'd use him. The other area would be great would be faction wars. Bringing a defense down for faction wars is always amazing, and especially for PUSE content. So you can do more damage and kill them faster and stop you being killed. He is immune to all CC, so he can't be locked out, and he only has 2 abilities, which opens him up to a 6-piece merciless to really come back round for the A2 as much as possible. You can also use him in Doom Tower as well if you're like early game and mid game, or you can use them in free defense for a nuker or a arena, classic arena defense. If you're mid game or early game, if you're like past mid game, I personally wouldn't recommend it. This would be like a gold 5 classic or low end silver tier in the 3 versus 3. But of course, we'll take him into arena or test him or judge him after that. You could be surprised by the multipliers. So let me go ahead and let me grab the optimizer. I'm going to show you how to build this guy for PvE content, and then we'll take him into arena and we'll do a damage test and we'll do all the good stuff. I don't want to drag this video out too long. I want to try and keep it short and sweet to give you as much information as possible, but also kind of give you the correct guidance on him overall. Alrighty, so he is naked, he's fully booked. We're going to build him now in the optimizer and see what we can do. Now I have a max great haul in the hydra and in faction wars, and also we have the highest. We also have he's also booked out, and we also have a max guardian rings as well. So there is extra stats added on from the average player. So when we're building Nog, I would suggest building him as a DPS. You can definitely do some stuff. Now for PvE content, for like Faction Wars hard mode and Hydra, I would probably go around about 250 speed. There is no reason to go any more than that. And then for Faction Wars hard mode for 21, you'll want to go 450, 500 accuracy. For now, we're going to build 450. For Nightmare Hydra, maximum 450 accuracy as well. So that's a good way to be. Then we're also going to come in with the Merciless, and we're going to go with a 6-piece set. We can also go 9 because I do know I have a 9-piece available in Skinwalker. We're going to come to then Battle, and then we're going to go to Hydra. So Hydra also is maxed out as my faction was. This will give me the correct stats and give us the correct build, and to get the best box for the best box for a bong for the, you know what I mean anyway. Alright, so yeah, I could change all this if I wanted to. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna change all this, but I will open the strongest gear overall. Let's go and take a look at his gear quickly. Sorry, his masteries, because we might need to change his masteries overall. So let me go ahead and we'll have a look at this, and there is a few options depending on your account level of how you would build him. I think he might be in a reserve vault. So we have a 2-star lesson, which doesn't really do anything, but we will take cruelty overall. So for PvE content, if it's like 5-star and below, I would max say take cruelty because this will help you in faction wars, etc. And then if you have a 6-star, take Crusher Realm because he's a DPS and you can benefit from that as well. Then there is a few ways of doing masteries. Do we have free reset? We do. So let's go ahead and do that with you guys as well. So for PvE content, I would come down accuracy tree to really benefit from all this. We'll come in with Law of Steel and Master Hex to increase the E2. And then we'll come in with the damage side for PvE damage dealer. Now, if you have like really strong gear and a really strong blessing like Crush and Ram, you can go Helm Smasher or you can go Wall Master if you haven't got really high damage, depending which one would be more consistent. We're going to go come in with the Whirlwind of Death and then with Ruthless Ambush. And then we'll come in for these as well. This is what I generally would take for a PvE build. Sometimes I will take Life Drinker or Cycle of Violence, depending on the damage multipliers. Again, his damage multipliers are not the best as far as I'm aware of. Relic, I'm not going to put a relic on him because I haven't got no relic materials to move around. So apologize about that, but at least you guys can kind of get the correct gist of what we're trying to do. So you'll see here we've unlocked all of my best gear available for this build, and he's not empowered or anything. A level 2 blessing, very low, so we won't get like crazy stats, but that's good for you guys because you can see on what he's doing with really good gear but on a high-end account. So we will be coming in with this build. We can see here we have a 6-piece merciless. Now 6-piece merciless will be really strong on him. Obviously most of you guys won't have a 6-piece merciless. You can go savage, you can go instinct or lethal. You can even go relentless if you wanted to, or something like reflex as well if you just wanted to focus on the defense down and block boss so he gets some background faster. He's only got 2 abilities, so reflex and cooldown sets will be the way to go. So this I would say is probably his strongest build for P vs E content like Faction Wars, Doom Tower, and Hydra, which is probably the 3 spots I would use him. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go equip this build. So that's how you do it on Optimizer. Now we're going to go into Dragon, one of the Dragon stages. We'll do a damage test with him and see what kind of numbers he's doing with a very average build. Let me show you the stats for this Piggy Wiggy, which you'll have in the 2 areas where we'll test him. I would like to say we'll test him in Faction Wars, but unfortunately Faction Wars is not open. I've been waiting for the keys to drop for this video, but unfortunately it hasn't dropped before this video has gone live. So you can see here, this is the stuff that we're kind of working with overall. And yeah, let's take him into Dragon and do a damage test. All right then, so I want to keep this damage test pretty simple. We've got the increased defense, we have defense down and weaken. He will bring the defense down himself. And the reason why we're going to do that is because we do use defense down and weaken in the P vs E content. We don't use that in arena. Normally I do my damage tests on arena teams, but he's not really an arena champion. I will showcase him in a couple of fights just so you can kind of get the idea. And I also will walk through the ideal build for arena content, pretty much the best way to maximize it from him if you want. So let's, so this is Spider. We need Dragon, sorry. So yeah, let me go ahead and get the team ready again. My apologies, I wasn't paying attention, I guess. And we can kind of go in like this. So you will need increased defense with Noghorn to really benefit from him. You will ideally want a bit more speed for Hydra, depending on your teams. But I'm trying to see this as a early game. So ideally for like my level account, I would probably build like 280 speed for Hydra and for Faction Wars. So just take that into consideration. Because I'm more looking at him as a DPS role, then we have lowered his speed so we can really look at them numbers, but I want it to be a realistic build. Let's go ahead and turn this down to 1x. I'm not expecting like a ton of damage. I'm not going to use the Badao or Badao to increase damage, or what's his name, Mossbeard or whatever to increase. I want it to be as pretty simple as possible. In arena, would bring increased defense, and for Hydra, would bring an increased defense. And again, like looking at these numbers, this is what I would look at. So I'm not expecting big damage, probably about 150 to 160. Let's have a look. Yeah, so 150, 160, fairly reasonable damage, nothing too special. Now, obviously, if you have a bigger blessing, a bit more defense, he's going to do way more damage. So I can't say that his damage is awful. I would like to see a bit more because he's a legendary and he is not really offering anything on top of that. Let's see what the A1 will do on the Venus. 137. Again, not bad, right? Not bad at all. So overall, I would say he needs a bit more damage, but he can definitely do some role as a DPS champion. Let me go ahead and set up a Hydra team now, and we'll put him into one of the Hydra teams and make that short and sweet as well. Okay, so this would be a style of team where I'd bring him in. This is probably, I'll be honest, this is probably not the best teams, but he would definitely probably fit in the slot where you would put the Mishian, right? Because he's got the defense down and the block boss. You wouldn't need Lamasu as well, but I've just gone ahead and took Carnage out of the team. He would have really good synergy with the Manhatta because Manhatta would bring the Weaken and Hex. You could also potentially put him in a Hex set because it's only a 2-turn and to just get a bit more out of him and use him as a debuff as a damage dealer as well. And then yeah, obviously we've got the Veils and Revive. Valkanus will do a good amount of damage, but you won't do too much. He's not really a Hydra champion, but you know, I'm just lazy. So this is probably not the ideal most team, I'll be honest, but it's going to be show his worth. We've got good comparisons as well with the Mishi and the Valkanus as DPS. So we'll do a quick battle and we'll look at the numbers and hopefully we'll survive for the whole team, and then we'll compare Norg's damage compared to Valkanus and Mishi, which are fairly good damage dealers. So you can see here that the damage between the two, 327, not bad, right? But you can see that obviously my hat is doing more damage because of the hex, so we can't really challenging that. But when we compare the Mishi to the Narkhorn, the damage is much higher. Obviously, again, Mishi has the Hex, and then we also have the Valkanus as well coming in with a good amount of damage. Now, Mishi's in a 4-piece lethal, and Valkanus is in a stone skin / pinpoint build for arena. So he is really lacking behind the damage for that 6-piece merciless. So does he do a better job than Hugo? Probably not, if I'm being honest. But if you are looking for a defense down champion, then that's probably for faction wars. It's probably the only way as an in-game player I would invest in him. I don't think there's any stages in Curse City and Soul Cross as well where he will be usable. So you could kind of see the comparisons of damage overall. Now I bought this champion a very, very long time ago, and what he's done is sit in my vault. So we're not going to keep the key, obviously, because I can do way more damage than that. Now let me just show you the Mishi build that we were working with, and you will see that it's not OP. There's no relic or anything like that to increase its damage. So, 6-piece merciless. You can see here very average stats, right? More or less the same as his. He doesn't have a relic at all, so there's nothing really there to increase his damage at all. So that's one thing to kind of take in consideration with the comparison of the two. Anyway, let me go ahead and now get him ready for arena, and then we'll take him into a couple of arena fights and show you what he can do in the arena fights, and to see if he's useful for anyone in the arena. Alright, so we're back on the optimizer then. We're going to build him for arena. Obviously, we're not going to use arena, so we're going to go lethal, and obviously we're going to go stone skin. We will need to increase his speed because we want him to do reasonable. So this is how I would build a champion for arena generally. So I would like to give you guys the correct information. I wouldn't be using accuracy on him for that. We'd just be focusing in on him as a defense-based nuker, and I'll show you the ideal kind of team that would look on. Obviously, we're not going to add lifts, and we do need to take away this as well, so he doesn't get his stats inflated from the bonuses, and then we'll be a little bit more disappointing. I want to give you a very accurate build of what this guy can do. So you can see here 267 critical damage, 279 speed, with 6,300 defense. A very average build, but again, the blessing is kind of like holding him back a little bit more or less with that. So you can argue with this if this would be a ideal build or not. You can see here it's coming off Marius, which is probably my best DPS nuker when we're talking about defense base, right? So we're obviously going to go into arena. We're not in a high end arena, so we will apologize, but to be honest, we wouldn't use him in the high end arena anyway. And then we can kind of just show him what he could do. We're going to look for a very defense that will be archable for him, right? So like all these force defenses as not ideal for him. Obviously, we'll take him on here. So let me talk about the average team that we would use overall. So you'd need an increased defense. If you have a Marius, you can work together. I'll be honest, if you have a Marius anyway, you're not going to be using this dude, if we're being honest. So let's just kind of like say how it is a little bit. So we'll take him into this. We're only going to take 1 DPS. I want to kind of see what it does. Now, this team here is nothing special. This defense, he's going to be slower than me, and he's quite a bit slower than me as well. So there's nothing special here. So let me go ahead and set up the team. We're going to go like this. We'll go the A2 here. We should be faster. We do go to 3% there. Let me go ahead and sheep him. And yeah, we've been lucky with that there. He's going to do his shenanigans, and then Noghorn's going to get his turn. Obviously, he's going to be 1x speed to see his damage. He's got increased defense already to help him. We would take Lightning Cage Blessing to increase his damage overall. And let's see what we could do here. Overall, 49k, 46k across the board. Now, he can't be sheeped, which is good news. But you can see here the damage is not special at all. So again, I would only really use him as in arena for early game progression if you're looking to pull him, but his damage is a little bit still underwhelming compared to a lot of epics and legendary defense-based nukers, which is not great, for being honest. They are again 48, 49k damage, nothing too special. 269k coming through. Now, comparing to Marius, which I can't really compare him to Marius right now. Marius is doing way more than that damage. There isn't really any other one person I can compare him to where we're talking about arena. So let's have a look for one more fight. Let's kind of see on what he can do. Again, very average team here. I'm not going to try and take on these big teams because he's just not that type of champion, right? So as an in-game player, I would not recommend using him in PvP for arena. So that's just how I would look at it as. We'll come in with the obviously decreased speed. Obviously my gear is very S tier right now as well, so we're kind of making them look a bit better by using champions like Lamasu, etc. He comes in, gets 60k damage. Obviously he's defense based, which has got good survivability. That is probably the only good bit that I can probably say. And then we can come in and go like it again. So, you know, 102 on an Arbiter, not really impressive. If that was Marius, I'm probably hitting like 300k or whatever. So it won't, she probably wouldn't be alive after the first hit with no stone skin. So it's one of them ones. Anyway, guys, I'm not going to drag out the video too much. Again, let me show you the final build on him for Arena. And this is probably his like most optimal build that you can do. Which would be, again, coming in at 279 speed, good critical damage, good defense base, defense as well, and that is pretty much about it. Masteries does need to be changed for arena. That's probably one downside. Could have used Hammer Smasher to get a bit more, but to be honest, I'm not feeling to spend 150 gems to kind of show him that he's a little bit trashy overall. So my final opinion, 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, Yugo is still the champion I would invest in because you have the same ability here. She's also epic, so she's cheaper to book. And she does have a heal as well, which is better than his kit. She also has a revive, which is very situational. And then she has A1 with the leech as well. So everywhere that he does or is a specialist in that Raider buffed him for, she does better, right? So, and that's just being honest. Her damage is probably around about the same as well overall. So the only way that I would actually look at building him is if you're a mid-game, early game player that doesn't have multiple Yugos because you probably want 3 for Hydra, or if you was going to build him for Factuals. And that is about it. Other than that, I would probably say he still lives in 90% of our vaults overall. And yeah, good champion, but it's too niche for a legendary. He does need a bit more. Multipliers need to be increased. I feel like he needs a AoE on a A1, like AoE Hex or something, so he becomes stronger than Yugo. And maybe a revive on a passive, like a Lazarus type, which would be nice to see as well. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about today's champion showcase and what you think about him. I know there's not much content covering him overall after his rework, and that's probably why. So it's one of them ones. As usual, guys, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. I've been Grim. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.